pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, did everybody have a chance to read the July 2024 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, were there any additions or deletions or corrections?
I just noticed on page 3, Robin Ave is spelled wrong. It's Robyn.
Oh, okay, yeah, I noticed. I did see that, but really didn't pay attention to it, but yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't have a Robin
Right.
IN, so I mean,
Right.
everybody knows, but still, yeah.
Yeah, all right, I'll let them know.
Okay.
What page was that, Carl?
It's at 3, I think, right?
Yes,
Page
I see it, Robyn. Okay. Anybody have anything else?
I thought I did, but I can't find it.
Well, if you find something after Gil, then let me know, because I'll write to Matthew.
Okay,
since
thank you.
Okay. So, I'll let Matthew know the correction, and, but if we don't have any other, big deletions or changes, we could entertain a motion to approve the minutes for July.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Moved and seconded, and all those in favor of accepting the minutes with the
Aye.
brief?
Aye.
Oh, yeah, you're on tonight, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Aye.
Okay, aye. So, 5-0-0. Yes, I forgot, since Steve Gannon is unable to attend tonight, our alternate will be filling in as a full member tonight. Okay, so we're gonna open it up for public input, and there are no members of the public present, so we'll close public input. Anybody who is watching, if you ever feel like coming to the meeting and you have anything that you want to discuss at the meeting, then please feel free to come to our meetings. We always have a public input section. So far, we haven't had very many attendees, so please feel free to join us. Okay.
Going back to requests for additions or deletions.
Oh, yes, I skipped over that.
I brought some information that I wanted to share with the commission members. But we also have on the agenda the 250th update and the Historic District Committee update. So
Right.
shall I just slide in when you do those two?
Yeah, I think they're related, so you think that would be okay? Add them then?
I'm
Sure.
asking.
Well, no, but I mean, if you think that's, I think it would fit in with the
I do
other two
too.
topics,
Okay.
so,
I do too.
yeah.
I
So we'll
wanted-
make
just
sure that
wanted
you
to
get
be
a
sure.
chance, yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna add a couple things, as we get down the list. There might be a few other things that come up. Okay, Stephen, can you give a report on the Historic District Committee?
Yes. We had a meeting in August, and Jamin Kara was present, and we discussed our thoughts about a historic district. He was very enthusiastic about it. He said it is long overdue for this town. And he was in agreement with us that it has to be a very loosely woven district. It can't be like what Hollis and Amherst have and so forth, and even Nashua. And we were saying that we were thinking along the terms of an overlay district, mainly to prevent demolition of historic structures. And he said that's exactly what you need. And so he volunteered to draft a proposal. And he is going to come in. We're going to have a meeting August 29th.
Right.
That's open to the public, to come in and discuss this draft. And I think the way that we,
Now, will that be a draft warrant article? Or-
well, it'll be the beginning of it.
Okay.
It needs to be worked
Okay.
on. And the way that we may be able to control this demolition thing is that what we're trying to do is prevent what happened at Darkhold Farm, where a developer can come in decide to knock down a perfectly fine historic structure, and that's the end of the story. There's nothing you can do about it. By establishing a historic district, which will run where the residential district is on Route 3A from Robin Avenue to Page Road, if someone does buy property and wants to have a development, that can't be stopped. But if they decide to demolish the historic structure, if there is one on the property, then they will apply for demolition. It will come before us, and we will be the ultimate arbiter as to whether something can be demolished or not the building inspector. And so that's
That's the change,
the change, and that's about what we hope to achieve.
yes.
My takeaway from the meeting, and clearly Stevens reported very, very accurately on what Jay was sharing, but I also got some feedback from him in regard to, he had, at the end of the meeting, he had shared this planning and zoning chapter 674 on historic districts and these state rules. And as we talked, I asked him, in addition to saving our cherished buildings, is land part of what will be included in our Litchfield Historic District? And I cited the muster grounds, which are certainly historic.
Right.
And he agreed. And then I also talked about the fact that we on the Litchfield Historical Society worked for 2 years to get the library, the church, the old town hall, the school, and the fire station, which was built in the old-fashioned barn-raising way. Stephen and I, our parents were on that building committee, and that was all volunteer work to build that fire station, all volunteer donated materials, and it's truly historic along with the other 4 buildings. But back to the land, I was very interested in what the Conservation Commission presented to the Board of Selectmen this week, and they put together the Town of Litchfield Land Preservation Strategy, and it's incredibly comprehensive in terms of how they go about determining what land could be preserved, how to get grants, etc. And the most important sections to me were pages 7, 8, and 9. And the reason they're important, and I shared the handouts with you, is their land preservation priorities include, on page 7, protecting historic resources, farmlands, of course, but then drop down to the second circle on the left that I've circled, and you see protect the character of the town. And they have circled that with a building in the icon. And then properties that are along Route 3A, which is exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly.
We're not
And then
talking
you-
about
and it
shooting up
mentions
the side.
farmland as well, yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about shooting up the side roads, which someone had asked. Are we going to go up Robin Avenue and impose upon those folks historic restrictions or rules? And we've said all along, no. On page 8, if you turn the page, the Conservation Commission is looking at key historic areas between Wilson and Hillcrest, and along the Route 3A corridor, which we are as well, and lands that abut the Merrimack River. And then switch over to 9, where I'm most impressed with their matrix, including the high value to, when they look at land or looking at things that have historic value, they count along 3A, along the river, land that's historic, and then down to protecting historic resources, which, again, the muster grounds, our buildings, we have so much beyond just our wonderful old buildings we want to preserve and save. That whole area is historic from, I think we've preliminarily talked about from Robin Avenue down to Page Road, correct? Right. And under high value, the last one that really jumped out at me was protect the town character. And I think bottom line, we're talking about that. We're talking about our character, our culture. So I applaud the Conservation Commission, and it feels to me like we're walking hand in hand. They want to protect
This is
the
meshing
same
with us.
area, others as well, but this area in particular, and they see it as historic.
But we need to make a notation here that with the historic district, and we were talking about this at the last meeting with Jay, he said, how extensive should the width of the district be? And we said, well, what we were thinking is that an acre on either side of the road, because that's where the buildings are located. So the Conservation Commission has a far greater reach than we do in terms of historic district. Our goal still is to prevent the demolition of historic buildings.
Right.
And theirs is even more extensive, to preserve the character of the town. And
Farmland and the water.
Right, and
along
those
the
things they
river.
would have to purchase to protect.
Right.
But their goal still is
Character,
protect
yeah.
the character and culture of the town,
Exactly.
which we're about.
Yep, so we have, our goals and their goals are meshing.
Right.
Thank you, Marion. That's
And meshing
what I
with
was
the-
trying to
And
say.
meshing with the goals of the Historical Society as well, so.
Right.
The three of us working hand in hand. Okay. And Stephen, the next meeting you said is August 29th?
Yes,
So if any viewers are interested in.
6:30 at the Historical Society building.
Okay, if anybody's interested in attending to find out more about the proposal for the historic district, please feel free to do so. Okay, are there any other comments on that?
Well, I think we're still in the let's find out what specifically we're going to begin to do, right?
Right, this is all very preliminary. Once we have established a draft amendment, then we will have a public hearing about it.
Okay.
But this is all just very preliminary.
Now, Stephen, do you see that, so that's when the Heritage Commission would come in, because we would hold we would arrange for the.
Right, and the
public hearing.
Heritage Commission, and it was our thought anyway, and Jay agreed, should put the warrant article
Yes,
forward.
that's what I thought, I saw that as one of our.
Right.
Our functions would be to put it forward, and as we said before, then it'll be, in front of the voters, and the voters will decide. I mean,
Right.
I've talked to, different people, and I think that, for the most part, there seems to be a lot of interest in maintaining that 3A corridor.
And
Even with
especially
the
when they
people that live
realize-
back here in the newer
Right.
homes.
And
that-
especially when they realize this is a really non-restrictive
Yeah.
historic district, then they're enthusiastic about it.
Yes, I think everybody has, I'll just say, a lot of people would shy away from a policy where we were gonna restrict people on what kind of windows they could put in, or,
Right.
whether they could pave their driveway, or what, I'm just trying to think of certain things, or that we would go and tell them, clean up your yard, or plant a shrub or something. We really have no intention of doing anything like that. But the other thing is that if and when some of these properties have to be sold, it will be known that we have a little bit of bite to our bark, which up till now we haven't had. So they've had to go through, the paces, but they knew that in the final analysis, they could do exactly as they please. So if somebody, for instance, goes to a planning board and says, oh, we're gonna keep the original property, then they need to be held to that. It won't be one of these things where they can change their mind later
Right.
and say, oh, well, we never went into the, yeah, right, not sure.
How would we do that? Would it be a condition of approval by the planning board? Because can't imagine we would need to put like a restrictive covenant. I don't know if we can do
I
that on the
think-
property as it's sold.
If the, warrant article is passed and the historic district is established, whomever purchases the land car will know in advance that they are not going to be allowed to tear down the building on the property. They can go ahead and do the development or whatever else they want to do, but they can't demolish the historic building.
All right, I'll be interested to see how that's written in the
See.
draft.
Yeah.
They, historic districts have a lot of they can go as deep as, the look of the building and
Right, and we're not trying to
maintaining
do
it.
that, yeah.
But, having, preserving the building and not being able to knock it down.
Right.
Without permission, of course.
Right,
If
because
if
there
they-
are buildings within the district that would be okay to demolish.
Sure, yeah.
That we wouldn't find had
right.
the, had
Yeah.
the significant cultural,
They
architectural.
do have to meet a certain
Or
standard
historic, yeah.
in
They-
order to warrant preservation.
And if a developer was to look into buying the property, they would find out about, or they would know about the
Yeah,
historic.
they know
district.
ahead of time.
And they would know ahead of time before they bought the property
Right.
that they couldn't.
Like, for instance, and we wouldn't be telling them, for instance, at Dark Hall, the developer originally said that he was gonna put in duplex, make that
units.
into we weren't gonna try to restrict that or any, we
That was,
wouldn't
that was
be.
a big part of the conversation, I
Yeah,
remember that.
we wouldn't be trying to restrict that, we would say, try to keep keep it looking as original as possible. But, interior-wise, we wouldn't be able to control that. So we're just trying to keep, because we did lose two pretty significant buildings within 2 years.
Right.
And as Stephen said, there are buildings that meet the guidelines for time, for age, but don't have any particular architectural, historical, or cultural,
But we lost more than two. We lost the schoolhouse at the Hayes'.
yes, the Hazes also was
We
a
lost
schoolhouse,
Colby Building,
right,
which was an early building.
right. The Reed Farm, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so there were 4 recent ones that we know
Right.
of. But I think when the schoolhouse went down, did we have to approve that? I wasn't on the
We
commission
didn't have a
then.
heritage.
Yeah, I don't
Right, I was
think
gonna
we-
say, I
yeah.
think that was before
I
us.
think
Right,
that might have been, but the farm up there at Reed Farm was, but we went and toured it, and it really didn't look as if it was salvageable at that point, so.
Which one was that?
Colby Road, the old.
Oh, right,
yeah.
right, right.
Across
okay,
from
yeah.
Tim's
Yeah, they
Turf.
had just really,
Right, I
you
forgot
know.
about that.
unfortunately, that was in rough condition.
And then when it comes to, we mentioned a little while ago that we would be the arbiter of whether or not it is able to be torn down. I think that there's some authority that's in the building inspector and fire chief as well for that. I don't think that can solely be us.
Yeah, I
Right.
imagine.
No,
Right.
no, but when we got to the point, see, that was the first thing in our our little protocol, is that they determined that it's, structurally sound.
Okay.
They would still have to
Or like
determine
hazardous
that.
condition.
They can
Yeah.
condemn it, if they condemned it, then it.
Yeah, if they say, no, this building's a hazard or something, well, then it's out of our hands.
Yeah.
But if they say, no, the building is structurally sound, then that's where we would come into play.
Right.
And then it is until it's not.
So it's kind of it's just another layer of a safety net to try to help us, as this commission, because, we're trying to get, to do our job, which is to try to preserve
And
it.
once again, just as Gail said, we will be working hand in hand with the Conservation Commission. We both have the same end goal in mind.
Yes, we
Right.
do.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So-
Jay Mancara spoke very highly of the Conservation Commission's
did.
work
Mhm.
and hopes that we will be successful and that our efforts will be reflected in the new master plan or the master plan revision.
When is that coming up, do you know?
25, I think.
Oh, okay, coming right up.
So that's about it for the report.
That's very good, thank you, Stephen.
We'll have another one next month.
Okay, does anybody else have anything else to add? I think that was pretty thorough, thank you, Stephen. Okay, moving on to number 8, the semi-quincentennial update. Okay, we have not, I did reach out to people to get a number of names for people that are gonna be on the committee, but we decided that we would work on the historic district, get that underway first, and that we would wait until vacations were over and everything, and try to, I'm gonna check the town calendar for late, like later in September, after people are back and school's back and people are back in the swing of things, and we'll pick a date that we can have it hopefully at the community room at the fire station, so that it's accessible to people, and, then we could have it televised, because this will be a warrant where we're trying to get some money to put on, to put on a festival, festivities for the birthday. So will be another update on that. We are working on it, and we'll try to come up with a date later in September. Does that sound
Right.
okay? Okay, number 9, update on the Passaconaway project. Stephen?
Okay,
This is
well, John Gross had hoped to be here, but he had shoulder surgery the day before yesterday. And so he could not be, but he did send me a message, and he is still working on it. He said one of the things he has found out is that the state has put a hold on highway markers for the time being. And they have because they're reviewing the way they grant them. And the process is very slow, and they're looking at ways that they can improve that. The second thing is that on a marker, apparently John's group had hoped to have a map showing where the islands are and so forth. Maps are not allowed on the markers,
Oh.
at least not right now. And then thirdly, no one has been able to find the 1663 map, which would have shown the islands granted and the other land granted to Passaconaway. John has searched high and low in Massachusetts, and nobody's aware of the existence of the map. And then lastly, he has been in contact working with Plymouth Plantation in Massachusetts, and they have not been able to verify the fact that Passaconaway was called to Plymouth at the time of the landing of the Pilgrims, even though it has been reported that he was there, and all of the great
Well, I
chiefs
can't find any.
were there. It just hasn't been, it was never recorded. It was, not factually recorded. It's been passed down that he was there, as were all the other great chiefs. And I'm sure they probably were. They were called down there to see what was happening.
Has anybody, I read that revision, Mayflower history. It was, of course, I can't recall. I'll have to try to find the book, which I probably still have. But I remember a mention of Passaconaway in it.
Yes.
So, and I don't know, but he had extensive, this author had a lot of research.
Right.
And I'll have to see if I can dig up that
Right.
book and find that, because
And, you know,
I
it's
didn't bother to
published-
read all the footnotes, but I'm thinking maybe there's some site in
It's
there.
published in many places that he
Yeah,
was
that he
present.
was there, yeah, I remember
But-
reading that.
There isn't a document from that period
That-
that says he was there.
Yeah,
And that's the way these facts were established.
so that's gonna be tough then.
That's going to be tough,
To
but that
prove
doesn't
that-
make any difference in what John's goal to
No, right, to
put
get
up
the,
a
same-
highway
right,
marker
no,
here in Litchfield.
right.
And he's brought forth so much
Oh, he
information.
has,
He has.
I think he
He
brought
has.
forth stuff that I had never heard before.
And he said
Really
to
done
me,
a lot of research.
he said, and in the document that he saw a copy of, he said it mentions the name of the islands in Abenaki. And I
Oh.
said, well, what were they? He said the same as you said. I said, oh, okay.
Well, like Minnehaha and
Nuniwawa,
Nuniwawa and
Minnehaha.
Minnehaha.
So that was Abenaki.
Wow, that's interesting. And where did you learn that? Just growing up?
I guess.
Florence
Just-
Center?
yeah,
or-
probably.
Wow, that's amazing, really. Very amazing. All right, so we wish him well, John, with his recovery, and thank him for the update. I will try to uncover that book and see if there's, where it could, I mean, it just stuck in my mind that there was a mention of him in that book, so I'll have to reread it. Okay, number 10, Economic Development Committee. The date has been set for the focus groups. It'll be at Campbell High School on the 12th of September. And please, for any of our people that may be watching, and for everyone on this board, if anybody can sign up for it, we need people to sign up for it. We are not getting a overwhelming response to this, and we need citizens, we need the ideas from the citizens in town about the economic development, about how they feel about it, what they see, you know, what it says to them when you hear about economic development. I mean, some people are thinking, you know, in terms of industry, some people are thinking in terms of a coffee shop, but we need to know what people are thinking when they see this. So I really encourage anybody who's hearing this, or the people on this board, to please see if they could go. We're gonna have some kind of refreshments.
Folks could also go back and look at the Economic Committee meetings, because you guys did a really good job of discussing the challenges in establishing this kind of a program. Focus group as a term scares people,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to go
Oh,
and
right,
sit
it
and
sounds
chat.
hard, yeah, it
Right.
sounds hard. but
And you explained that very well, and I think perhaps we just ought to remind folks that those meetings are accessible. Go on Litchfield YouTube and
Yep.
have a look, and then you get a better idea of what you're really trying to
Right.
find
What the
out.
committee, what the Economic Development Committee is trying to do is it's a committee that was originally given like a year, and it has been extended to do another year, but just to find out what people have in mind and how the citizens feel, and then to just report back to the selectmen and see, how we can further what the taxpayers see, and whether it's, people are going for tax relief or for convenience of a business in town, or, maybe more professional businesses in town, or whatever it is that people see, but we really, really have to get people out there. So, I wanted to, put a plea in for that, and for us, people on the committee, if you could sign up, that would be awesome too. Any questions about that? Okay. Let's see. All right, the town administrator has asked that we review the metal detecting policy and submit any changes we feel are necessary. And as a result of the feeling of the people on the board, I will be responding to that and saying that we would like to set up a meeting so that we can, thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
That we'll set up a meeting for, try to set up a meeting with the interested departments
So
to
that we
go
can
over
discuss it
and
together.
discuss it together and brainstorm about it. So I will respond to
And come
that.
to a consensus on
Right,
how we can improve the policy. Because
Right.
we have tested the policy,
right.
it failed,
And it didn't do right,
and so we need some modification.
exactly. Okay. Okay, any new business that people want to bring up?
I don't have new business, but I did bring to share with folks the article that I found in regard to Litchfield's bicentennial celebration back in January of 1976. And Marion, I think you know a person
I do.
on the left,
I
Louis
do. Well, I know
Goff.
everyone in the picture, but I particularly know the second person from the left, my uncle,
Right, and my grandmother is here, and
your aunt and uncle.
Nancy and Paul Hendrick, I think you know them, Carl?
Yeah, we
He
bought our
said
house
this
from
was a
them.
week, what'd you say, 2 weeks after you moved
Yeah,
into
this
the
is,
house?
this is 2 weeks after we moved here.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Mhm.
And I thought it was so odd that I just happened to be able to put my fingers on this
I think it's
as we're
fabulous.
approaching our 250 celebration
Right.
plans.
Right, I wonder, Gail, if as we go forward, when we start our committee, that if this, this might be something that we could use that picture to post, to try to, garner more interest to, because that's a very, first of all, it's a very nice idea to have the ball. That's kind of a cool idea. I haven't read the whole article, but I will. But that was thank you for doing that. That really came out very good, too. How did you get that to come out that copy so well?
I took it to Staples.
There's the secret
I
right
can
there.
fine-tune them. Right.
I love it. I think it's really beautiful. Does anybody have that original picture?
That's a good question.
I have
Although
to-
maybe, no.
It's a telegraph.
You'd have to
Yeah.
talk to someone named DeRocher at the Nashua
It's the old-
Telegraph.
Yeah.
I got DeRocher.
But it
I
didn't
should
belong
stop
to
down-
She took it.
Oh, she took it for the
It
telegraph,
belongs to the
right.
telegraph.
So
Yeah, I
that's
should
in their
stop down and
archives
see her
somewhere.
and take
I
this
wonder how
along.
you can do, if they even have, they must keep their archives.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
must.
they have
Yeah.
extensive photographic
Yeah.
archives. I think that you could probably get a copy of the original picture from them.
That's something I should look into.
Well, anyway, I'm sure they did a great deal of research on the appropriate nature of their, garb and everything else. I'm sure it was historically correct. because I'm sure they really worked on it. I thank you for bringing that in, and Gail, thank you for making the copies of the, because I hadn't seen this, the land preservation thing on, I mean, I saw that you commented about it, but I hadn't looked it up. But that is an excellent document.
Well, the whole thing is so impressive, and it just jumps out at you that although they go, as Stephen said, in a broader direction, they still do focus down on the history and the culture of the area that we're worried and thinking about,
Yes.
planning about.
Agreed.
So thank you for letting me
Oh, and
comment.
thank you very much
Well,
for
thanks
your,
for bringing
yeah,
it.
thank you for bringing those and for your additions.
I need to start bringing stuff for show and tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
You must.
Try to find something.
Okay.
Sure, you must have something kicking around down there.
Yeah,
I'll have to too. I have to go through the 1,000 boxes of pictures and papers that I have. Okay, if there's no other new business, then we should have a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion is made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay, 4-0.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
It was a good meeting.
When is that, what time is that focus group meeting at CHS?
Oh, we discussed that, and I